3:42 a.m. and I'm sitting in a hotel room 2 states away from my family because I can't be in the same house with them anymore. 4 days ago, I discovered that my younger brother, Lucas, has been systematically stealing money from me for the past 5 years. We're not talking about borrowing $20 and forgetting to pay it back. We're talking about nearly $75,000 stolen from my savings, my investments, my checking account, money I'd been setting aside since I was 18 years old, working 2 jobs through college, living frugally to build a financial foundation. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that my parents knew. They knew the entire time. They watched Lucas drain my accounts, intercepted my bank statements so I wouldn't notice, covered for him when I started asking questions, and actively helped him hide his theft from me for 5 years. And when I finally discovered the truth and confronted them, they asked me not to press charges because Lucas has been through a lot, and he's still your brother, and this would destroy the family. The family is already destroyed. They destroyed it when they chose to protect a thief over the son who did everything right. My name is Ethan Cooper. I'm 28 years old. Lucas is 25. And until 4 days ago, I thought I had a supportive family who was proud of how hard I'd worked and how responsibly I'd managed my money. Now I know the truth. I was the family ATM, and everyone was in on it except me. I need to write this down because I'm losing my mind. Because I've spent 4 days going through bank records, text messages, and 5 years of memories, and I'm discovering that almost every financial setback I've experienced, every moment where money mysteriously disappeared, every time I thought I'd made a mistake, it was Lucas, with my parents' knowledge and assistance. Let me start from the beginning, because the betrayal is so layered, so intricate, that I'm still discovering new dimensions of it. I'm the older brother by 3 years. Growing up, Lucas and I were close. Not best friends, but good brothers. We fought sometimes, like siblings do, but we also had each other's backs. Or so I thought. Our family was middle class. Dad worked in middle management at a manufacturing company. Mom was a part-time teacher. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. Both of us went to decent public schools, had what we needed, took family vacations to the beach every summer. But Lucas and I were different in fundamental ways that became more apparent as we got older. I was the responsible one. Good grades, part-time jobs starting at 16, saved most of my money. I got a scholarship to State University, worked 2 part-time jobs while in school, graduated with minimal debt. I was careful with money because I'd seen my parents stress about bills and I didn't want that life. Lucas was different. Not bad, just less focused. He struggled in school, couldn't hold down jobs, drifted through community college without much direction, and he was always bad with money. Would spend his entire paycheck the day he got it, then be broke for the rest of the month. Our parents would bail him out constantly. He's still figuring things out, they'd say. He needs support. I didn't resent it at the time. Lucas was my brother. He was struggling. Of course, our parents should help him. I was doing fine on my own. I didn't need the same level of support. After college, I got a good job in IT at a tech company. Started at $60K, worked my way up to $85K over the next few years. I lived frugally. Kept the same beat-up car from college, had roommates to split rent, cooked at home, rarely went out. I wasn't being cheap, I was being strategic. I wanted to save enough for a house down payment, have a solid emergency fund, eventually start investing seriously. By the time I was 23, I had about $35,000 saved. I was proud of that number. I'd check my savings account regularly, watch it grow, feel secure knowing I had a financial cushion. Lucas, meanwhile, was still living at home at 20. He'd dropped out of community college, worked sporadic retail jobs, spent all his money on God knows what. Our parents supported him fully. Free room and board, no expectations of contribution. I thought they were being too lenient, but it wasn't my place to judge. Different parenting strategies for different kids, right? When I was 24, I moved out of my shared apartment and got my own place. A small 1-bedroom, nothing fancy, but mine. I was excited about the independence. Lucas helped me move. Actually seemed happy for me. That was around the time the theft started, though I didn't know it for another 4 years. Looking back at my bank records now, I can see the first withdrawal. March 15th, 5 years ago. $500 from my savings account, marked as an ATM withdrawal in a part of town I'd never been to. At the time, I noticed it. Called my bank, confused. They said it was a legitimate withdrawal. Correct PIN, no signs of fraud. I thought maybe I'd somehow forgotten making it, though that seemed unlikely. I was meticulous about tracking expenses. But $500 wasn't enough to panic over. I chalked it up to a weird mistake and moved on. 2 weeks later, another withdrawal. $400, different ATM, also in a part of town I didn't frequent. I called the bank again. They confirmed again. Correct PIN, legitimate transaction. No fraud indicators. I started to worry. Had I given my PIN to someone and forgotten? Had I been drugged and robbed? The bank representative suggested I change my PIN immediately and monitor my account closely. I did. A month went by with no unusual activity. I relaxed. Maybe it had been some kind of error that corrected itself. Then it started again. Smaller amounts this time. $100 here. $200 there. Always ATM withdrawals. Always when I was at work or otherwise engaged and had a clear alibi. I changed my PIN again. Changed it to something random that nobody could guess. Felt secure that I'd solved the problem. The withdrawals stopped for 2 months. Then they resumed, but different this time. Online transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. Venmo payments to people I'd never heard of. The amounts varied. Sometimes $50, sometimes $500, once $200. I called my bank repeatedly. They insisted these were authorized transactions coming from my verified devices. How was that possible? I had strong passwords. 2-factor authentication. I wasn't clicking on phishing links. How was someone accessing my accounts? The bank eventually suggested that someone I knew must have my login information. Someone I trusted. Someone who had physical access to my devices or could observe me entering. Passwords. The only people who had been in my apartment regularly were my parents and Lucas. The thought of any of them stealing from me was absurd, impossible. Over the next few years, I lost approximately $75,000. Not all at once, that would have been too obvious. But steadily, consistently, in amounts small enough that I noticed but couldn't quite prove weren't my own mistakes. My savings account that should have been growing was stagnant. I'd deposit my paychecks, watch the balance increase, then find unexpected withdrawals. I'd transfer money to my investment account, only to see it transferred back out days later. I'd save for months toward goals, then mysteriously be short when it came time to make purchases. I started doubting my sanity. Was I sleep spending? Did I have some kind of dissociative disorder where I was making transactions and forgetting them? I saw a doctor, got evaluated for memory issues. Everything came back normal. The financial stress was crushing. I should have had a 6-figure savings by now. Should have been able to buy a house. Should have been financially secure. Instead, I was constantly scrambling, constantly confused about where my money was going. I'd go to my parents' house for Sunday dinners and complain about it. I don't understand where my money keeps disappearing to, I'd say. I'm making good money, but somehow always struggling. My dad would suggest I needed to budget better. My mom would say maybe I was spending more than I realized. Lucas would be quiet, focused on his phone. Nobody suggested that someone was stealing from me, because they all knew who it was. About 2 years into this financial nightmare, I noticed Lucas seemed to have more money. He'd moved out of our parents' house into his own apartment. He had a newer car. He was going out more, buying expensive clothes, talking about weekend trips with friends. Lucas seems to be doing well, I mentioned to our parents once. Did he get a better job? He's managing his money better, Mom said quickly. Too quickly. Making better choices. I was happy for him. Thought maybe he'd finally gotten his act together. Never occurred to me that his sudden financial stability coincided with my mysterious financial losses. 3 months ago, things came to a head with my bank. After years of these mysterious transactions, they flagged my account for potential fraud, called me in for a meeting, showed me a pattern of unusual activity that their algorithms had identified. Mr. Cooper, we believe someone has unauthorized access to your accounts, the bank manager said. The pattern suggests someone who knows you, who has your passwords and PIN. Have you given anyone access to your financial information? No, I said. Never. I'm very careful about that. Has anyone had access to your devices? Your phone, your computer? I thought about it. Just family when they visit. But I trust them completely. The manager looked uncomfortable. Mr. Cooper, in cases like this, it's almost always someone close to the victim. A family member, a partner, a close friend. Someone who has opportunity and access. That's impossible, I said. But even as I said it, doubt crept in. The bank suggested I file a police report, recommended I change all my passwords, enable additional security measures, and monitor my accounts obsessively. They also suggested I set up alerts for every transaction, no matter how small. I did all of it. And that's when I caught him. 2 weeks ago, I was at work when I got an alert on my phone. $350 withdrawal from my checking account. I immediately called the bank. Where was the withdrawal made? They gave me an address, an ATM at a convenience store across town. I left work immediately, drove there. Pulled up the security camera footage from my phone. Yes, I'd started carrying a dash cam and recording everything. Paranoid about fraud. I called the store, identified myself, asked if they had security footage. They did. The manager, sympathetic to my situation, let me review it. And there, on grainy security footage, was Lucas. Using my debit card, entering my PIN, withdrawing cash, my little brother, stealing from me. I sat in my car in that parking lot for an hour, unable to process what I'd seen. Lucas. It was Lucas. The whole time. But how? I'd changed my PIN multiple times, changed my passwords. How did he keep getting access? I drove to his apartment, banged on the door. He opened it, surprised to see me. "We need to talk," I said. Lucas went pale. "About what?" "About the $350 you just took from my account. About all the money you've been stealing for years." I watched him decide whether to deny it, saw the calculation happen in real time. Then his face crumbled. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to go on this long." I pushed past him into the apartment. "How? How did you keep accessing my accounts even after I changed everything?" Lucas sat down heavily on his couch. "Mom and Dad helped me," the world tilted. "What?" "They'd get your mail," Lucas said quietly. "Bank statements, credit card bills, any financial documents. They'd steam them open, photograph them, reseal them, and give them to me. That's how I always had your current account numbers, PIN reminders, passwords when you changed them." I felt physically sick. "Mom and Dad knew? The whole time?" "They didn't know at first," Lucas said quickly. "The first few times I did it on my own. I'd stolen your wallet once, wrote down your PIN, used it, but then you changed it, and I needed help figuring out the new one. So I told Mom I needed to borrow money from you, but you'd said no, and could she help me get your account info so I could just take what I needed without bothering you?" "And she believed that?" "She wanted to believe it," Lucas said. "And then after the first time, I told her the truth, that I'd been taking money without asking. She was upset, but I convinced her it was temporary, that I was in trouble and just needed to get on my feet. She said she'd help me this one time, but I had to pay you back and never do it again." "But you did do it again." "I couldn't stop," Lucas said. He was crying now. "I'd gotten used to having money, and it was so easy. Mom would get your statements, Dad would help me figure out your security questions, and I'd just transfer what I needed. They kept saying I had to stop, but they kept helping me do it." I stood there in his apartment, looking at the furniture I'd unknowingly paid for, the TV I'd bought him without knowing it, the life he'd built on my stolen money. "How much?" I asked. "Total, how much have you taken?" Lucas wouldn't meet my eyes. "I don't know exactly. Maybe 60, 70,000? $70,000. 5 years of my life. My house down payment, my financial security, my future. Stolen by my brother with my parents' help. I'm calling the police," I said. "Ethan, please. You stole $70,000 from me. You and Mom and Dad stole 5 years of my financial life. I'll pay you back," Lucas said desperately. "Every penny. Just don't call the cops. It would ruin my life." "What about my life?" I shouted. "What about what you've already ruined?" I left his apartment and drove straight to our parents' house. Barged in. They were having dinner. "Did you know?" I asked. "Did you know Lucas was stealing from me?" My parents exchanged a look. That look told me everything. "Ethan, sweetie, sit down," Mom started. "Did you know?" My dad sighed. "We knew Lucas was having some financial troubles." "Financial troubles?" I interrupted. "He was stealing from me! For 5 years. With your help!" "We didn't help him steal," Mom said quickly. We didn't want to see him struggle. And you were doing so well. You thought what? That I wouldn't notice? That it was okay because I had more? That I wouldn't care that my own family was robbing me?" "We were going to tell you," Dad said. "Lucas was supposed to pay you back before you ever found out." "Pay me back with what money?" I demanded. "He's been living off my stolen savings. Where was he going to get $70,000? "We were helping him," Mom said. "We were going to loan him money to pay you back." "So you'd essentially be paying me back my own money that you helped him steal. Do you hear how insane that sounds?" My dad stood up. "Watch your tone. We're still your parents." "You're thieves," I said. "You're all thieves. You stole from me. You lied to me. You watched me struggle and stress about money and you said nothing." "We didn't want you to be mad at Lucas," Mom said, crying now. "He's going through such a hard time." "What hard time?" I exploded. "What hard time justifies stealing $70,000 from your brother? What hard time did you protect him from that? Was more important than protecting me from being robbed?" Neither of them answered. "Lucas told me everything," I said. "How you'd intercept my mail. How you'd help him get my account information. How you'd cover for him when I asked questions. You weren't just enabling him. You were accomplices." "He's your brother," Dad said. "Family helps family. Family doesn't steal from family," I shouted. "Normal families don't conspire to drain their son's savings to support their other son's lifestyle. You don't understand what Lucas has been dealing with. Mom started. Then explain it to me. Explain what possible justification there is for this. They looked at each other again. Then Mom said quietly, Lucas has a gambling problem. Everything stopped. What? He's addicted to gambling, Dad said. Online poker, sports betting, casino trips. He's been struggling with it for about 6 years. That's why he needed the money, I laughed. Actually laughed, though there was no humor in it. So let me get this straight. Lucas has a gambling addiction. Instead of getting him help, you enabled him by helping him steal from me so he could continue gambling. And you never told me because we didn't want you to think badly of him, Mom said. I should think badly of him, I shouted. He's a thief. He's an addict who stole from his own brother to feed his addiction. And you helped him. We were trying to protect both of you, Dad said. You weren't protecting me. You were sacrificing me to protect him. There's a difference. I pulled out my phone. Started calling the police. What are you doing? Mom asked, panicked. Reporting a theft. $70,000. Multiple perpetrators. Ethan, you can't, Dad said. If you report this, Lucas will go to jail. We could go to jail. This will destroy our family. The family is already destroyed, I said. You destroyed it when you chose to help Lucas steal from me, instead of helping him get treatment for his addiction. Please, Mom begged. Please don't do this. He's still your brother. We're still your parents. We can fix this as a family. How? I demanded. How do we fix 5 years of systematic theft and betrayal? How do I ever trust any of you again? We'll pay you back, Dad said. Every dollar. We'll take out a loan, remortgage the house if we have to. Just please don't call the police. I looked at them. My parents. People I'd loved and trusted my entire life. And all I could see were strangers who'd chosen my brother over me again and again and again. You have 2 options, I said. Either Lucas turns himself in, and you all face consequences for what you did, or you pay me back every dollar within 30 days and I never speak to any of you again. Ethan, you don't mean that, Mom started. $75,000, I said. I calculated interest. $75,000 in 30 days, or I press charges? Those are your choices. I left. Drove to a hotel. And I've been here ever since, going through 5 years of bank statements, documenting every theft, building a case. My parents have been calling constantly, begging me not to do this, saying I'm overreacting, that family forgives family, that Lucas needs compassion, not punishment, that I'm being cruel and vindictive. Lucas has been texting. Long apology messages about how sorry he is, how he knows he messed up, how addiction made him do things he'd never normally do, saying he'll go to rehab, pay me back, make it right, begging me not to ruin his life over this. But here's what they're not getting. They already ruined my life. 5 years of it. 5 years of financial stress, self-doubt, and stolen security. 5 years where I worked my ass off to save money that my brother was taking to gamble away. 5 years where my parents could have stopped this. Could have gotten Lucas help. Could have been honest with me, and chose not to. I'm not overreacting. I'm reacting proportionally to being systematically robbed by my own family. I've been trying to understand why this hurts so much beyond the money, and I think it's because of what it represents. My parents had a choice. Protect me or protect Lucas. At every turn, they chose Lucas. When they caught him stealing, they chose to help him hide it rather than protect me from being robbed. When I was stressed about my financial situation, they chose to stay silent rather than tell me the truth. When Lucas continued stealing, they chose to enable him rather than get him help. They chose him. Always him. I was the responsible son who didn't need help, so I was expendable. I was doing fine, so it was okay to sacrifice my financial security to maintain Lucas's lifestyle. I was strong enough to handle loss, so it was acceptable to let me lose so Lucas wouldn't have to face consequences. I was the safety net, the backup plan, the one who could handle being betrayed because I was stable enough to recover. My therapist, yes, I've been in therapy since this started, says this is a pattern in families. The responsible child becomes the resource to support the troubled child. Parents unconsciously sacrifice one child's well-being to protect the other child's. It's not malicious, usually. It's just profoundly unfair, but in my case, it was malicious. They didn't just passively enable Lucas. They actively helped him steal from me. They intercepted my mail. They shared my private financial information. They conspired with him for 5 years. That's not just unfair. That's criminal. I've consulted with 3 different lawyers. The case is solid. Lucas committed wire fraud, identity theft, and theft by deception. My parents are accessories. They knowingly assisted in the commission of multiple felonies. If I press charges, all 3 of them could face jail time. The lawyers are unanimous. I have every right to prosecute. The evidence is overwhelming. The amount stolen is substantial. This wasn't a one-time mistake but a years-long pattern of criminal behavior. They're also unanimous on something else. If I do this, my family will never forgive me. I'll be the son who sent his brother and parents to jail. I'll be cut off from extended family who will see me as vindictive and cruel. I'll be alone, but aren't I already alone? What family do I actually have? Parents who helped rob me? A brother who spent 5 years stealing from me? That's not family. That's a criminal conspiracy that happens to share my DNA. I've been going back and forth for days. One minute I'm determined to press charges. They deserve consequences. The next minute I'm thinking about 30 days to repayment and walking away. Cut my losses, cut them out of my life, move on. The money isn't even what matters most anymore. It's the principle. It's the betrayal. It's the 5 years of lies. It's the fact that they chose Lucas's comfort over my financial security and my right to know I was being robbed. Yesterday, I got a call from my aunt, my dad's sister. Somehow word had gotten out about the situation. She begged me not to destroy the family over money. It's not about the money, I tried to explain. Then what's it about? She asked. Pride? You want to punish Lucas for making mistakes? You want revenge? I want accountability, I said. I want someone in this family to acknowledge that what they did was wrong. Not wrong because I'm upset, but objectively, morally, legally wrong. They know it was wrong, my aunt said. They feel terrible. But family forgives, Ethan. That's what family does. Would you forgive someone who stole $75,000 from you? I asked, if they were family. Yes, because family is more important than money, is it? I asked. Because my family chose money over me. They chose funding Lucas's gambling addiction over being honest with me. So clearly to them, money is more important than family. She didn't have a response to that. I think what bothers people most is that I'm not playing my assigned role. I'm the responsible son. I'm supposed to be understanding, forgiving, willing to sacrifice for family harmony. I'm supposed to absorb the damage and move on because that's what I've always done. But I can't do it anymore. I can't be the person who's endlessly understanding of everyone else while no one understands me. I can't be the one who sacrifices while everyone else takes. I can't forgive something this big just because it's expected of me. My parents sent an email this morning. They've secured a loan. They can pay me back the full $75,000 in 3 weeks. All I have to do is agree not to press charges and to try to work toward reconciliation as a family. Reconciliation? As if we can reconcile this. As if we can sit around a dinner table again and pretend this didn't happen. As if I can ever trust them again. But they're offering the money. The full amount. They're taking responsibility financially. If not emotionally or morally. I don't know what to do. If I take the money and walk away, they get off easy. No criminal record. No real consequences beyond losing their relationship with me. Lucas continues his life. My parents keep their reputation. I'm the only one who loses. I lose my family and I'm the bad guy for enforcing boundaries. If I press charges, they face jail time. Lucas's addiction becomes public. My parents' reputation is destroyed. Extended family turns against me. I'm alone, but at least there's accountability. Neither option feels right. Neither option gives me what I really want, which is for the past 5 years to not have happened. For my family to have chosen me over enabling Lucas. For my parents to have been parents to both of us instead of robbing one son to enable the other son's addiction. I want to go back to believing my family loved me. That's what I really want. And I can't have that. That trust is gone forever. It's 5:23 a.m. now. I haven't slept. I've been writing this, going through documents, trying to make sense of how I got here. I'm 28 years old. I worked hard, saved responsibly, did everything right, and my reward was being systematically robbed by my family for 5 years. My brother has a gambling addiction, and instead of helping him, my parents helped him steal from me to fund it. And now I have to decide, do I get my money back and lose my family? Or do I get justice and lose my family? Because there's no option where I get both my money and my family. That option died 5 years ago when Lucas made his first withdrawal, and my parents made their first choice to protect him instead of me. I think I've made my decision. I'm taking the money. I'm signing paperwork saying I won't press charges, and I'm never speaking to any of them again. Not because I forgive them. I don't. I probably never will. But because pressing charges won't actually make me feel better. It won't give me back 5 years of financial security. It won't restore the trust that's been shattered. It won't make my parents suddenly realize they were wrong. All it will do is make me the villain in everyone else's story. The son who was too proud to forgive, too vindictive to show mercy, too focused on money to value family. And I'm not going to give them that narrative. I'm not going to be the bad guy in a story where I'm the victim. So I'll take the money. I'll sign their papers. I'll let them tell themselves and everyone else that they made things right by paying me back. And then I'll disappear from their lives, block their numbers, move to a new city, build a new life where I'm not the family ATM, where I'm not the expendable son, where the people in my life actually value me. Maybe that makes me unforgiving. Maybe it makes me cold. Maybe it proves I'm not a good family member. But I'm done trying to be the good son in a family that treated me like a resource to be exploited. I'm done playing the role they assigned me. I'm done sacrificing myself to protect them from the consequences of their choices. The sun is coming up. Today I call my parents and accept their offer. Today I get my money back. Today I start the process of legally and emotionally divorcing myself from my family. Tomorrow I start rebuilding a life that's actually mine. Not stolen, not sabotaged, not sacrificed, just mine. And maybe that's the best revenge after all.